Welcome to Radio Books. My name is Rainer. This is Sweden Calling, and well, I didn't want to make this video on this Saturday, this very chilly Saturday here in Sweden, actually outside Stockholm on May the 28th of 2022, but I just have to do it. Uvalde, Texas was known for, if it was known, I'd never heard of that place before in my life, but apparently it was known for one reason only about a week ago, and that is because Hollywood Oscar-winning actor Matthew McConaughey was born there and was raised there. He grew up there. But then, on May 24, this is 4 days ago, an 18-year-old man whose name I'm not going to name, we shouldn't give him any fame, an 18-year-old kid actually went into Robb Elementary School in Uvalde and killed 19 little children and 2 teachers before getting killed himself by the police. Acted way too late. They could have saved many more lives. I woke up to this news in the morning. Usually when I get up, I check the news, what has happened last night, what has happened in the world. When I read the news, it really broke my heart, and I was feeling so sick in my stomach that 19 so small children were murdered, and 19 families and 19 lives were destroyed. That is just incredible and so hard to bear. Uvalde, Texas, ladies and gentlemen, was the 27th school shooting in the United States. Not in this decade, not in this century, this year only. It was the 212th mass shooting in the United States alone this year. And by mass shooting, the definition of mass shooting, as I learned, is a shooting in which 4 or more people are either killed or injured, excluding the shooter. 212 mass shootings, and probably already more as we speak. By Wednesday, May 25th of 2022, more than 17,000 people in the United States alone in this year had died of guns. 650 of them being children. In no other country in the world, it is easier to buy guns. While the United States is the greatest importing nation of drugs from Mexico, the United States is also the by far most important provider of illegal firearms to Mexico, a country that has very strict gun laws. We give you drugs, you give us guns. Both are illegal. So what will happen with another 19 kids dead? Their little bodies having been so damaged by guns that DNA had to be collected to identify some of the victims. Former President Donald J. Trump spoke on Friday, that's yesterday, at the annual meeting of the National Rifle Association, the NRA, in Dallas, the greatest gun advocates in the US, and Trump said that more guns are needed to prevent massacres like the one in Uvalde. He warned that the radical left Democrats would come for each and everyone's gun. There is a multi-billion-dollar industry behind all this, and a bunch of people whose fortune is based on the American desire of owning a gun and defending their house and their family against so-called shady criminals or immigrants or whatever. YouTube channels, like the one I show you here, have subscribers in the millions. People who love guns, who adore guns, who talk about guns all the time. There are gun fairs and gun clubs and gun talks, gun everything. Moms with guns, granddads with guns, I don't know, everyone with guns. Let me, in this video, please, present you 10 books that help you understand the scope of a problem that won't change, although there is a large majority in America who want this to end. But nothing will change. Democracy in the US is at stake now more than ever, and this is just one part of the problem. 10 books after this. I wanted to find fictional books, but the most important books I found were actually nonfiction descriptions. And a book that describes the history of the right of the Second Amendment is Armed in America, A History of Gun Rights from Colonial Militias to Concealed Carry by Patrick J. Charles, published by Prometheus in January in 2018. This accessible legal history describes how the Second Amendment has been interpreted throughout most of American history and shows that today's gun rights advocates have drastically departed from the long-held interpretation of the constitutional right to bear arms. This today has nothing to do with what actually was intended by the Second Amendment. It has changed. The meaning has been reversed, has changed, and that is what Patrick J. Charles shows in this book. Armed in America explores how and why the right to arms transformed at different points in history. And there's a big why this has happened. It is a lot about profit, a lot about conservatism, and a lot about money, money, money that makes the world go round and don't care for what happens with the guns and with the bullets. The second book is a book that has been praised a lot when it appeared in 2016. It was published by Basic Books in April 2016 by Pamela Haag. This is The Gunning of America, Business and the Making of American Gun Culture. Americans have always loved guns. This special bond was forged during the American Revolution and sanctified by the Second Amendment. It is because of this exceptional relationship that American civilians are more heavily armed than the citizens of any other nation, or so we're told. In The Gunning of America, historian Pamela Haag overturns this conventional wisdom American gun culture. She argues developed not because the gun was exceptional, but precisely because it was not. Guns proliferated in America because throughout most of the nation's history they were perceived as an unexceptional commodity, no different than buttons or typewriters. Focusing on the history of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, one of the most iconic arms manufacturers in America, Haag challenges many basic assumptions of how and when America became a gun culture. Under the leadership of Oliver Winchester and his heirs, the company used aggressive, sometimes ingenious sales and marketing techniques to create new markets for their product. Guns have never sold themselves, rather through advertising and innovative distribution campaigns, the gun industry did. Through the meticulous examination of gun industry archives, Haag challenges the myth of a primal bond between Americans and their firearms. So this is a very essential book. A fictional book that I remember that I haven't read when it appeared, but that I'm now very actually eager to read, is Lionel Shriver's novel, We Need to Talk About Kevin, published in 2003. And this is about a woman, Eva, who never really wanted to be a mother, and certainly not the mother of the unlovable son who murdered 7 of his fellow high school students, a cafeteria worker and a much-adored teacher who tried to befriend him, all 2 days before his 16th birthday. Now, 2 years later, it's time for her to come to terms with marriage, career, family, parenthood, and Kevin's horrific rampage in a series of startlingly direct correspondences with her estranged husband, Franklin. Uneasy with the sacrifices and social demotion of motherhood from the start, Eva fears that her alarming dislike for her own son may be responsible for driving him so nihilistically off the rails. Back to nonfiction. The next book has a title that all of you who have lived during the past 15 years and read the news will realize and that they know. The number 4 is Columbine by Dave Cullen, published by 12 in April of 2009. And this is the book by the American journalist Dave Cullen, who has meticulously researched the Columbine high school massacre and who reveals what really happened that day. The horror left an indelible stamp on the American psyche, and maybe this was the beginning of the modern time of school shootings in the United States, a number of school shootings that grows each and every year. And this year we are looking towards a new record of school shootings in America. With a keen investigative eye and psychological acumen, he draws on mountains of evidence, insights from the world's leading forensic psychologists, and the killer's own words and drawings, several reproduced in a new appendix. Cullen paints raw portraits of 2 polar opposite killers. They contrast starkly with the flashes of resilience and redemption among the survivors. Jodi Picoult was already in my video about books about abortion, which is also another topic where the conservative fraction in America tries to sort of change the things, tries to change the situation for women in the US. Jodi Picoult is a writer who takes on topics like that, and she also took on school shootings in her novel 19 Minutes, published in 2007 by Atria Books. Sterling is an ordinary New Hampshire town where nothing ever happens until the day its complacency is shattered by a school shooting. Josie Cormier, the daughter of the judge sitting on the case, should be the state's best witness, but she can't remember what happened before her very own eyes, or can she? As the trial progresses, fault lines between the high school and the adult community begin to show, destroying the closest of friendships and families. And 19 Minutes asks questions what it means to be different in our society, who has the right to judge someone else, and whether anyone is ever really who they seem to be. Number 6, another book by Dave Cullen that came a couple of years after Columbine, and another title of a town that everybody knows in America now, Parkland, by Dave Cullen, published by Riverrun in 2019. Emma Gonzalez called BS. David Hawk called out Adult America. Cameron Kasky recruited a colorful band of teenagers. 4 days after escaping Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, they announced the audacious March for Our Lives. A month later, it was the 4th largest protest in American history. Dave Cullen takes us on the students' odyssey, with unrivaled access to their friends and families, meetings, homes, and tour bus through gun country. He reveals the quirky, playful organizers that have taken the United States by storm. We meet these students that was already again 2 years ago, and another record has happened, the 2nd or 3rd largest killing in a school in the history of the US. So after Parkland, things were looked at it as if they would change, but they haven't changed at all. But Parkland is a story of staggering empowerment anyway, and hope told through the wildly creative and wickedly funny voices of a group of remarkable campaigners. There's always hope, and there will be hope after this massacre in Texas too, but the chances to change something are very, very low. Number 7, A Newtown, an American Tragedy by Matthew Lysiak, published by Gallery Books in December 2013. The world mourned the devastating shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut on December 14 of 2012. We remember the numbers: 20 children and 6 adults murdered in a place of nurture and trust. Teachers like Victoria Soto, who lost her life protecting her students. A shooter named Adam Lanza, and we remember the questions. Outraged conjecture instantly monopolized the worldwide response to the tragedy, while the truth went missing. Here is the definite journalistic account of Newtown, an essential examination of the facts of another American tragedy, and not the last one. Number 8, a psychological approach, Why Kids Kill, Inside the Minds of School Shooters by Peter Langman, published by St. Martin's Griffin in 2010. In the horrific aftermath of school shootings, distraught communities struggle to make sense of these seemingly senseless acts. Despite massive media coverage, we know little about what drives young perpetrators or how they rationalize their acts. In this analysis, Dr. Peter Langman presents the psychological causes of school shootings and offers unprecedented insight into why certain teens exhibit the potential to kill. Number 9, Gun Love by Jennifer Clement, published by Hogarth in March 2018. Written in a gorgeous lyric all of its own, Gun Love is the story of a tough but optimistic young girl growing up in contemporary America in the midst of its harrowing love affair with firearms. Very readable, not about school shootings, but a lot about the love and the need for arms for certain groups of the American society. And the last one is one in German, because the problem is not only in the United States, it is also in other countries, but mainly in the US. Number 10 is called Der Amok-Komplex, oder die Schule des Tötens von Ines Geipel, a German journalist who also, like Dave Cullen, or Jodi Picoult, tends to take up very hot issues in society. And this book was published by the German company Klett-Cotta in 2012. And this one, The Amok-Komplex, combines a couple of stories of massacre school shootings that happened in Germany, in Erfurt, in Emstetten, and Winnenden, but also connects to Port Arthur, to Australia, what happened there, and to Björn Anders Breivik in Norway, in Utøya, and combines these kind of accidents and tries to show similarities. What is young men driving to kill as much people as possible? Why are weapons available, and what does the police do? What does the society do to confront this? This is also an interesting approach because it's international. I took this up in my list of 10 books about shootings, about school shootings, mainly a problem of the United States because of the very liberal gun laws. I gave you the number, 17,000 people have been killed there already this year alone, 650 children, and we're still counting. This year has 7 months to go. I'm shocked. I hope that things change for the better, but I have very little hope actually that there is a change for the better, because a minority of people is able to control the majority in the United States, and that's why nothing is going to change. Anyway, we can read about it and we can reflect about it. Thanks very much for watching this video. I see you soon with a review of Jonathan Coe's Mr. Walder and Me. Bye bye.